about me, but I'll just say again, I am a Roman Catholic woman priest, part of a movement within Catholicism to ordain women, and of course that's not allowed, so I'm an excommunicated heretic and the whole thing, but I'm not worried about it. Someday Rome's going to catch up, and in the meantime I have work to do, and so do my sister priests. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of that work today. And that is a group we call Los Samaritanos, and of course that's the Samaritans, right? And I want to tell you a little bit about how the group came to be, and then some things about it that make me happy. So, about 5 or 6 years ago, the teenage daughter of a local farm worker couple who was at Walmart in Batavia, and she was waiting in line at customer service, and there was some difficulty going on, and somehow she became the translator. And the person who was having difficulty was from somewhere in Latin America, and he had just been released from the detention center, and he needed to pick up some money from Western Union so that he could get a bus ticket to go be with his brother in Utah, and his brother was sending him money by Western Union. But of course, now realize he has no idea where he is. I mean, if somebody left you on the border of Mexico and told you to get to Cuernavaca, would you know where you were or what you were doing? No more would they know when they are in Batavia, New York. Who the heck knows where that is? And no idea where Utah is or any of it. They're just here and lost and needing to get to family. So he had no idea that Western Union isn't at Walmart, it's at Tops. And in Batavia, the Tops is about a half a mile walk, if you're on foot, as he was. And it's all, there's no sidewalks or anything. How the heck would he even find it, let alone... Anyway, so the young woman drove him over to Tops, to Western Union, where she learned that in order to collect money at Western Union, you need ID. Well, they had confiscated his ID at the detention center and had not returned it to him, which, as I understand, is standard practice. So they contacted his brother and had the brother send the money to the young woman who collected it, gave it to him, saw him on the bus, and a few days later he called to let her know he was safely in Utah with his brother. Well, the family brought this story to me, and they said, this sort of thing may be happening all the time, and how people need help. People need help with just, figuring out how to get home. And it took us a long time to figure out how to do this. But finally we ended up with this group that we call Los Samaritanos, and we had a sign up in the bus station saying, with a phone number to call, and we had it all figured out, and we have a group of people who can respond to the needs, part of which is we do give people what we call dignity bags, and I believe last week you collected money for dignity bags for our folks, and thank you very much for that. I want to tell you 3 things that make me very happy about Los Samaritanos. The first one is that the idea for this ministry came from a farm worker and his family. And if you are involved in the work of liberation, involved in the work of walking with the people who are on the margins in this and any other society, one of the dangers is that it becomes a top-down kind of thing, and we, of course, being the people with the power and the money and feeling like we have it all together and helping those poor, pathetic migrant farm workers, we don't want that dynamic. We don't want that dynamic ever. And so we need always to be remembering that we are people working together, that we are all human beings. And these are people who are coming out of a system where it has been forgotten that they are human beings. When in the psalm, that verse jumped out at me, as for me, I am a worm and no man. scorned by all, and despised by the people. That's how they feel. That is how they feel, and they have been told that while in the detention center. I haven't heard of someone being called a worm, but I have heard of him being called a snake and a dog and worse things. And so part of the work of Los Samaritanos is simply saying, you're a person, and we're people, and we're here for you. We're here for you, and you're not alone. And that too came from the same man who inspired this ministry when we were saying we're going to put up a sign and it's going to say in Spanish, do you need anything? Do you have what you need for your journey? Are you able to reach your family? And call this number. He said, yes, that's all good, but you need to put, you are not alone. Because at that moment you feel so alone. So we did. And so he has been very crucial to the work of this and has actually been, he and several others have been able to help us at different times with folks. They usually aren't able to actually go to the bus station themselves because, of course, they're working. But they have done many things and also given us advice about the dignity bags and what needs to be in them and what needs not to be in them. Like a towel. Somebody was giving us towels to put in them, but where are you going to take a shower on a bus trip? And somebody said, no, they need the space in the bag. That also came from a farm worker. So that's something that makes me very happy, is this is a collaboration. This is working together to meet a need. And besides meeting practical needs, we are possibly the first friendly Anglo face folks have seen in the United States. They have been, as I said, they have been with some people who have treated them pretty badly. I don't think they all do that, but some of them do. And we have heard some horrible stories. And you just feel like nothing. So to be simply, you know the prodigal son, right? When the prodigal son returns, what does the father say? Put a robe on him, put a ring on his finger, put shoes on his feet. You're restoring dignity. So that's what we're doing. We're hopefully restoring dignity, helping people remember they're human and to have a sense of good in the world. The man I just told you about who said they had called him a dog and a snake and so forth, you could see in his face this sort of melting as he realized that he was among people who were going to treat him well and that there were good people in the world and he wasn't alone. And that matters. That's worth the whole thing. Another thing that makes me very happy about this ministry is that it is an interfaith effort. And it isn't all people of faith, but it's mostly people of faith. When we started, I called a friend that I went to divinity school with, and he put me in touch with a whole bunch of pastors. Our first meeting was mostly pastors, but since then it's gone out. But we've got Methodists and Baptists and Presbyterians and UCC and me and people who aren't particularly religious. We have a number of people who are retired language teachers, which is very helpful. You can imagine that translation is one of our big needs. So that feels great. And we've also connected with two other groups helping the same people. One is called the Volunteer Lawyers Project. And they're just what they sound like. They're volunteer lawyers who represent people, and they often help us know who's coming out. And there's also a group called Justice for Migrant Farm Workers out of Buffalo, and they are more organized than we are. They have a 501c3 and actual employees, so they actually hold our funds for us, and we're getting more organized than we used to be. But we're able to do a lot of things now because we have more funds than we did at the beginning. For example, if you could believe it, people get left at the bus station when their bus isn't coming until the next day. So sometimes we will put them up at motel. Luckily, those motels in Batavia are very inexpensive. You can find a room for about $50 a night. So one of our ways of helping is giving people a room for the night, oftentimes a meal, oftentimes clothes. We've been finding people are being let go wearing obvious prison garb, which didn't used to be the case. So we have started making sure we have some T-shirts and things like that, so that people can wear normal clothes. Now, a challenge to this ministry is that in order to be able to help to really participate, you need to live in Batavia, and actually in Batavia, and usually pretty close to this particular gas station. So we have a handful of very, very active volunteers, and then a larger group of people who support. I live in Rochester, so I've actually only done the on-the-ground meeting somebody at the bus station once myself. But what I do is a lot of support for the ministers and the people who are doing the work and helping them to not burn out, for one thing, because it's been intense lately. We had a couple of years there where we were only seeing 1 or 2 people let go a month. And then since this past January, it's been a flood. They let all the women go. There are no more women at the detention center. They all got released or moved. And we are, instead of 1 or 2 a month, we're seeing 3 or 4 a day, most weekdays. And it's been quite busy, which is great, but also keeps us humming. So this is a great grace and a great gift. I haven't even touched on the gospel today about give up, sell what you have and give it to the poor and come and follow me. And you know, I don't know about you, but when I read that, that's a text of terror for somebody that's a North American and has a bank account and money saved for retirement and a house and a car. But this is a way in which we can use our wealth and our cultural capital, knowing our way around, knowing how to do things, for the benefit of people who are at a moment really of absolute poverty. Poverty not just of funds, but poverty of being just totally lost in a strange land. So we are welcoming the stranger. We are walking with our brothers and sisters at one of the worst moments in their lives, and that is a gift and a privilege. And I'm so glad that you all have joined in the work by participating in dignity bags. There is one other way that you can help if you are interested. Although the people who actually respond need to be right there, people could be anywhere and holding the phone. And by the miraculous wonders of the internet, it's possible to get your phone linked up to a different phone number for a few hours, and therefore different people can be the person who answered the phone. And the way that we're doing it now, it's not the people that are in need that are making the calls, so they are almost all in English. And then you get that call, and then you put out a text to the people who are able to do that on the ground work. So if there's anybody that has an interest in doing that, let Debs know, and she'll let me know, and we'll get you trained. We're looking for people who can say, well, I'll take Tuesday afternoons, or I'll take Wednesdays from 4 to 7. And there's also, of course, the dignity bags. And there's also, of course, your prayers and your advocacy. Personally, I've been writing to the president and saying, I think you should just give amnesty to everybody that was an essential worker and undocumented during the crisis. I mean, all the farm workers and many of the frontline workers are undocumented, and they deserve a break. So thank you so much for welcoming me today and for being a part of the light in the world that is Los Samaritanos.